Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to Atlantic City. Today we're gonna have another road story. It's been a little while. We're gonna throw one in. We're gonna move ahead to the spring of 1974, which was gonna be a very, very good year for me. I've been working full-time every day after school and on the weekends for probably a year and a half by this point, and had been saving a lot of money and buying things in advance to get ready for these trips. And by the spring of '74, I was ready. I was ready to go. I had used that address that I told you about to buy tickets, and I decided in '74 that I was going to try to do a larger part of the tour, and I was going to start in Hampton, Virginia, which is right outside of Virginia Beach, which would be 2 or 3 stops in Virginia, 2 to 3 stops in Maryland, and then up to Philadelphia for 3 nights. But I would have 5 dates at least, 5 or 6 dates at least south of the city. So I had been making shirts and stuff all winter, and I even did a few wall banners, which are just, you know, like 3 foot by 4 foot pieces of flat cloth, you know, just bound around the edges, and I had tie-dyed them. Those wall banners I was selling for $25 a piece, and I moved them, which was awesome. I made a killing on those. But anyway, I took these 5 or 6 stops, which ended up being about probably 10 shows total. Getting back to Philadelphia, I was completely sold out of everything by the time I got home. I probably netted about $600 in 2 weeks, you know, which was amazing money for a kid back in the early '70s. So I reloaded. I went back home, and I reloaded and unloaded another 100, 150 at the 3 nights in Philly, and then I continued on up to New York, up to Connecticut, all the way up into Boston, and then turned around to come home. And I'd be willing to say that I probably brought home the better part of $2,000, which was just, for me, it was unheard of. I was just floored by this. So, you know, the shows were magnificent. This was during the period of the Grateful Dead's Wall of Sound, which was the finest concert sound that existed in that time period, and I think it probably rivals anything that you hear today. It was really that good. So it was just an amazing time to be at these shows, to go to these shows, you know, and I had tickets to sell, and I had merchandise to swap. I was in heaven. This was about a 3.5 week period that I was on that trip from beginning to end, including the stop at the house. It was probably 3.5 weeks, something like that. It was magnificent, really magnificent. As I said, the shows were incredible. Oh my God, they were, you know, they were at the height of their powers. You know, the band was you know, in that period, they were just at the height of their powers. And it was really an amazing thing. I got to see some wonderful shows, just all kind of different. The theaters back then were much more varied than they are today. Like every town sort of had like a mid-sized theater and a really large theater, and you were kind of just bouncing around from thing to thing. The venues were just different every night. The crowds were amazing, and actually once I got to Hampton, which is Virginia Beach, the hard part was just getting down there, because I gave myself a couple extra days to make sure that I made it. I was actually ahead of most of the transient crowd, so I had to really do all of my hitchhiking without the benefit of people that were heading that direction. Once I got there, oh my God, it was so easy just to get from place to place. It was terrific. But I was really on to the start of something big. It was really something else. And I also knew the band's schedule at this point, because when you contact this the Grateful Dead ticket office, they gave you the schedule of all the upcoming scheduled shows, and the Grateful Dead were going to be back in the summer. This was going to be a short tour. They didn't have the fall tour posted yet, but they were coming back in the summer for a short swing. So I had to quickly get myself together and get ready for the next round. So I had my work cut out for me. But I made more money than I thought it was even humanly possible. It was just incredible. And I took a good piece of that money when I got home, and I got myself a car. Not a great car, but a car. And that was what was going to open up more opportunities as things went on. But the shows were just incredible. And like I said, dude, all the people that you met, it's that was really the amazing part. Don't get me wrong, the shows were magnificent. Like I said, they were really at the height of their powers, and their shows were really rock solid night after night. One thing, if you had never seen the Grateful Dead, especially in that early period of their career, nothing was ever the same from night to night. There was no set list. There was no anything. They literally decided to play what they were going to play as they were standing there. So every night was different. Every night was a different personality. The songs were never played the same exact way night after night. Every show really stood on its own as an individual thing, and it was a wonderful thing to get to experience. It really opened up a lot. What the Grateful Dead did in '73 and '74, they were concentrating their first sets. The first half of the concert would be pretty much song oriented, one song into another song into another song. They didn't really stretch stuff out a whole lot in the first set, and they did a lot of country music back in those days. A lot of the stuff from Working Man's Dead and American Beauty. These were country songs. A lot of them were country classics, which as a kid I was not aware of these things, because there were no country radio stations in Philadelphia or in the surrounding markets at this point in time. So it was through the Grateful Dead and through some of these bands that I would see at these folk festivals that really turned me on to country music. I found out about people like Merle Haggard, and I found out about people like Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson, and just all kinds of people that the band did their covers. It was incredible. Matter of fact, one of the Grateful Dead's signature pieces is Going Down the Road, Feeling Bad, which was originally done by Woody Guthrie. So it was literally done just, with Woody on a single acoustic guitar, and they turned it into this giant jam piece, with a 6-piece band, and they just blew the doors off it, and unrecognizable from the original song. That's what they were really good at. They were really good at being a cover band. Along with everything else, they never stopped being a cover band. They always had that aspect to their performances. So, well, anyway, let me not hold you up here too long. We're getting long here. Just wanted to check in real quick and say hi to everybody, and just to give you an update on what was going on the road. And I will be back in touch with you soon, back up on the boardwalk, YouTube. Be good now.